And welcome back to part 2 of What If Kid Goku Died in Training with King Kai. Last time, we basically talked about the events that led to him dying in Training with King Kai, and we left off with him actually finally coming back after his 3 years training with King Kai. Just so we're clear where we left Goku off in terms of power, skill, and everything in between, Goku does still have his tail. He has a power level right around 12,000 right now, which by Dragon Ball Z standards is impressive for the low-tier saga, or low-tier, the early sagas, but is nothing compared to late sagas. But in terms of Dragon Ball, he's kind of a god right now. He knows the Kaioken. He can do it up to times 6, and he'd probably result with he'd probably be stuck with the same results he got when he did times 4 the first time. He'd be screaming in pain, but he could still do it. Safely, he can probably pull off a 3, maybe even a 4, and still keep going, and still be generally fine. And I also included the instant transmission. Now, someone did bring up that they were immediately kind of worried that I was gonna, that the instant transmission is a bit of an OP technique for old school Dragon Ball. And you would be right. It is. Hell, it's even a bit of an OP technique for old school Dragon Ball Z. Not so much for Dragon Ball Z, because the power levels then and the level of threat quickly increase. Increase by very large increments. But I can understand the hesitation. But seeing as we're already at the end of Dragon Ball as it is, we're going into the final arc right now with Piccolo Jr. in the tournament, I really wouldn't worry too much, because even if I didn't give him the instant transmission, which, by the way, there was really no canon evidence to give him that, but King Kai did mention that in the filler, that he could have taught him that, so I figured it's fine, he's got enough time to be learning it. And it made for a very quick transition when he basically came back to Kami. So, where do we cut back to? Well, we cut back to him going to Kami's lookout for the first time, because he's actually never been there. He's also learned how to fly, by the way, so there's that as well. And them discussing what comes next, him dealing with Piccolo, the tournament coming up, and him revealing himself to his friends. He also gets a new wardrobe, like he did from King Kai, but he also gets the wardrobe he showed up with to the tournament. So, cut to the day of the tournament. It's raining. If I remember correctly, it was raining. That kid lost the balloon, and Goku basically gets the balloon. And they all sense someone there. Nope. Keep in mind, Goku, because he spent so much time here, does know how to suppress his ki pretty well. He does not have his ki on it, or his power at full blast at 12,000. He probably keeps it below even a He probably keeps it like at best 5%, which 5% of his power is still 600, so that's still a lot. Everyone sees him there, and it's like, wait, and he's still in disguise, so they don't quite know it's him. But then he goes, "Hi guys!" And he's like, "Oh wait, that's right. I need to take this thing off." And lo and behold, it's Goku. By the by, Goku's physical appearance, obviously it was a different art style back then. They definitely cleaned it up as the series went on. But Goku's physical appearance, I'd say, is a bit more reminiscent of Super Saiyan God. And what I mean by that is he's very lithe. He's clearly in shape. He's got a lot of muscle. But unlike what he normally looks like with those jacked pecs, pretty much, he is a bit more toned down, a bit slimmed down. I just think it's due to better eating, a lot of training, things along those lines. That's just kind of how I like to envision Goku right now. Not to say he couldn't be buff in this timeline. I'm just saying I like it better. I like the idea that he's more that thin in shape, like Beerus. Because notice Beerus is also very thin and in shape and all that. And when Goku went God, he also took that form. So I like to think of it, he looks a bit more like that. Still very much like someone who could kick your ass, but still. And everyone's just standing there for a moment. Krillin's at Bulma. Everyone's just like, Goku, is that you? Well, of course it's me. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't Kami tell you I got wished back about a year ago? Goku! And then, Krillin just goes and gives his best friend I missed you too, buddy. Son of a bitch. I can't believe you're still here. Oh my god. And, Bulma goes and just like, you jerk! How could you? She slaps him. Ah, what was that for? Bulma, and then she just wraps him in a big hug. Don't you ever do that? And she's just kind of crying relief and saying, "It's okay, Bulma. I'm sorry." And he's giving her a good comfort hug and all that. Now, Tien wasn't. He didn't initially meet Tien. I think there. He met him later in the rosters for the actual finals. And Tien and him finally meet up, and it's good to see you again, old friend. I knew you'd be back once Mr. Popo told us what was going on. Of course we're going to be back. Couldn't miss a chance for a rematch. Absolutely, absolutely nuts. And then, they do the hand clasp and all that. Now, something we need to address right now is power levels. We've already addressed Goku's power level. Piccolo, unfortunately, hasn't changed at all because he's had no reason to change, honestly. But what about Tien, Chaozu, Krillin, and Yamcha? Not Roshi, because Roshi obviously at this point is kind of retired. Although he never really did stop training, we find out. With Goku gone, I do believe over 3 years, they were more encouraged than ever to really train and become stronger. In case he never did come back, in case Goku was gone for good, to live up to his memory, to keep the Earth safe when he was no longer there. That I think is something they would have done. So in canon, if I remember, now I'm going off of I have to scale back a little bit from Dragon Ball Z power levels that we know were official. We know in Dragon Ball Z when Bulma had refigured Rad Scouter, she read their power levels except for Chaozu's. Chaozu only had a 600 and some odd power level after training with Kami. Chaozu's abilities are not in martial arts, they're in psychic ability. He was strong. Chaozu's abilities and his psychic abilities are strong enough that in the Super, he was able to temporarily stop a God-trained Goku. Goku had God Ki at that point. He was able to slow him down to some degree. That's how impressive his abilities are with his psychic abilities. But his martial arts abilities, not that impressive. So honestly, I'll count Chaozu out until we maybe get to the Saiyan Saga. But Tien had a power level 250. Krillin had a power level 206, and Yamcha had a power level of 177, which means that they were much weaker at this point in time than they were then. But with that much training in mind, wanting to level up, probably actually training together at some points too. Definitely Krillin and Yamcha would have done that. Tien might have done that once or twice, but he mostly likes to train alone with Chaozu. Tien is still the strongest one, I think, because Krillin didn't get the honor of being the strongest human until he got his potential unlocked. Until then, he just wasn't. That was just the facts of the. Those are the numbers that are there. He wasn't. So I would put Tien, honestly, with a lot of training over 3 years and how far we've seen them progress, like with the threat of the Saiyans and all that. Granted, they had the help of Kami and Piccolo and special chambers, not the hyperbolic time chamber layer enough. The other one that was weird. They never explained that one. Or they barely write that one off. They never revisit it. I think you could see Tien probably go all the way up to 400, maybe even 450. I'll say 450. Krillin, he's not significantly weaker, but he is the weaker of the three. He's probably batting more like a 350 to 400. I'll round up to say 375. And then Yamcha's pulling up the rear with 300. But they are significantly stronger than what they were in the original. Let's see. Which Budokai was that? Which tournament was that? I can't remember exactly which one it was. I can't remember. That's the thing. I can't actually remember if any of them fought Piccolo. That's the thing. I actually don't even know if Yamcha was competing at that point, if I'm going to be honest. That last tournament in Dragon Ball, I'll admit, I know most of what happened in the first one, the second one. The third one, though, I'll admit, a lot of it kind of gets drawn up as a blank. I know Tao and Tien faced up. I know Chi-Chi and Goku faced up. Then I know Tien and Goku faced up. I know Kami and Piccolo faced up, and then Goku and Piccolo faced up. I can't remember some of the other ones in there. Because, honestly, if Krillin is... Because I think Krillin fought... Did Krillin fight Piccolo? That's a good question. I can look that up real quick. Krillin versus Piccolo? Okay, wait. Did that happen? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that happened. Yeah, Krillin did fight Piccolo, which means this is going to go a lot different. I just had to be certain on that before I got before I continued on. So, you get a lot of the same, Tao gets his ass kicked by... Luke gets his ass thoroughly thrashed by Tien. Which fight was that? I mean in order of when it happened. Was it one of the first fights? I want to say it was one of the first fights. Either way, you'll have Goku and Chi-Chi fight off. Now, Chi-Chi obviously gets in Goku's face earlier. Now, I had some people actually asking or saying, well, Goku's actually going to know what a wife is, so he's going to know exactly what he did wrong and all that stuff. Because he talked to King Kai, and King Kai would give him all world knowledge. I don't think that'd be something that would come up in conversation unless they, so, Goku, what do you plan to do with your life? Fighting, get a wife and a kid. Is like, wife and kid? Because at that point, we know that Goku knew what a wife was. Because he made it say, no, you don't understand. At that point, I thought, when I was that old, when I was that young, I thought a wife was something to eat. Well, technically, so no, Goku actually, as he got older, did know what that was, know what a wife was. So, unfortunately, for the people who don't want me to have him wind up with Chi-Chi, you're gonna be disappointed. I do think he still winds up with Chi-Chi, if I'm gonna be honest, because he just hadn't had enough time to interact with Bulma. There was nothing in this circumstance that really changed him, unless this isn't what if Goku married Bulma. This isn't something where he spent so much time with Bulma or he was like the same age as Bulma or something like that, where it all worked out properly. No, this is this is a little different in this case, where not even different. This is kind of the same thing where he had about the same interaction with Bulma as he did previously. Bulma was very grateful to see him, and he saw Bulma as a good friend, and then there's the whole incident with Chi-Chi, and he probably goes to marry Chi-Chi, so sorry about that. Now, what does happen here? Obviously, Goku and Tien, when that fight actually occurs, they actually have they have a pretty solid fight, even though Goku's holding back immensely. Even at 5%, he's still stronger than Tien. That gap isn't as big as you might, it's a big gap. Goku's is 30% stronger, 33%, 1/3 stronger than Tien. But in Dragon Ball standards, that does mean he can still put up a really good fight against Goku. And they're going back and forth. It's going to be a lot of that, but Goku ultimately says, like, it's been fun seeing him, boom, and then, just gut checks him out. But the Krillin versus Piccolo fight, remember, I averaged out Krillin to about 375. Piccolo's power isn't anywhere near that right now in the series. Because remember, after training to take out Goku, Piccolo's power, not including the Masen Kapo, or Special Beam Cannon, is about 412, 420. I think it was like 424, and Goku was like a 432. He barely edged out Piccolo, but he was still stronger. Which means he was not that strong he was not that strong in the Dragon Ball era. Usually it's kind of depicted as like more like 260, but that doesn't make any sense because King Piccolo and Goku are each 260, and Goku obviously was training to get stronger. So I'm willing to bet they're more closer to like the 300 range. So that fight takes place, and Piccolo is immediately surprised by how well Krillin is not only keeping up with him, but putting him on the back foot. Like, he's struggling against Krillin. Krillin, meanwhile, is pulling out all stops. Despite the fact that Krillin is stronger, I do believe Piccolo is the superior fighter. Piccolo, honestly, is one of the best fighters on the team, despite the fact he's not the strongest anymore. In fact, he's not even, if we're talking about the Z fighters, including the androids, Piccolo probably isn't even in the top 5 anymore. Because I'd argue the androids are still stronger than, he did get stronger than 18. We know he's stronger than 18. I take that back. 17, the one you could really make an argument is still stronger than him, because 17 was able to go toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan Goku pretty easily. And then again, he was also able to beat Ultimate Gohan, but that's just because he was a better strategist than Gohan. So yeah, Piccolo, that's honestly where I got at, is that even against someone more powerful than Piccolo is usually the better strategic fighter in all of it. Though Goku, I think, is just a better natural fighter, and Vegeta is just a more warrior-type individual. In terms of a true fighter, Piccolo is arguably the best fighter on the team. So because of that, Piccolo's having to pull out pretty much near all the stops to beat Krillin, which unfortunately he does, because he's able to do the extending arms, regenerate if he has to, using the laser eyes. I think he kind of does the Goku and kind of just takes out his limbs a little bit. It's like, Krillin's out of the ring. The winner is my junior. Piccolo is able to actually keep his hat on, I think, in this case, just for the sake of surprises. And, darn it. Wait, here, buddy. Oh, hold on, buddy. I got you. Oh, and he eats the sensei. Oh, man. I almost had that green asshole. Oh, whatever. And say, oh, don't worry, we'll get him next time. Meanwhile, Piccolo's really like shooken by that. Like, that was actually stronger than me. And he's looking at Goku too, just, and he can tell and he knows Goku and Tien are stronger than Krillin. Oh, I'm not gonna enjoy this. This isn't gonna be easy. And so basically, when the fight ultimately happens, where he faces off against Goku after stealing Shin and Kami, he's basically, you better just surrender now, Goku, otherwise your precious Kami is no more. Yeah, I don't think, but the catch is that, yeah, you're not going to do that, are you, Piccolo? What? You can take off the hat, or band. What was it? Turban? Yeah, it was a turban. Take off the turban, Piccolo. I already know it's you. How? Then no one else here was able to figure it out, and everyone's just so, and he takes it all off, going full power, getting ready. It's like, you were able to figure out where all these other adults couldn't. And surprisingly, Goku adds a lot of intelligence here. He's like, you look exactly the same. Just because I couldn't see your antenna, it doesn't mean I didn't know it was you. Well, I guess it goes to show how much adults these humans are, aren't they, Goku? Adults is maybe a strong word, but yeah, sometimes you just choose to ignore the things right in front of you. But tell me, why don't you think I'll destroy? Because if you destroy Kami, you're dead too. And then Piccolo actually freezes like, that's right. My master told me all about the connection between you and Kami. That's something Kai would have told him about. That what would the relationship between Kami and Piccolo. If one dies, they're both dead. So, and the fact, and what he told, and I'm sure when King Kai told him that, he was shocked. It's like, oh my god, I almost killed Kami. It's like, yeah, you did, but fortunately you didn't. It all worked out. No, still, you want him? God, come and get him. And then Goku just into transmissions and just poof. He just coughs up the thing, saying, thank you. And then just, here, get Kami released. And then the fight begins. Goku is, again, only going 5%, which is still 600. And against Piccolo, it's a lot more of a gap. Piccolo's struggling, goes into giant form. Goku's like, bigger the target, more targets to hit. Oh, Goku! Just does a super blast right in front of Goku's face. Goku decides, oh boy, because even he's at suppressing his power like that's gonna get hurt. So he kind of basically shows off his real power for a few moments. Just boom, just what, and he's just holding it there, and just kind of shows off full power, and even does a Kaioken on top of it. Not like all of his Kaioken. Like, doesn't go 6 because that would mess him up. But he shows off one Kaioken to go to 18,000. And everyone is sensing his power. What kind of training did Goku do? I have no idea. By the way, I'm doing the voices. You can't stop me from doing the voices. When it came to the Hinata voice, I completely understood why people didn't want me to do the voice. And in hindsight, after doing it a couple times, like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna keep doing that. With these voices, I'm doing the voices. What are you? I am Son Goku. I am protector of this world. I am not. I may not be human, but this is my home. Wait, you're not human, Goku? I'll tell you about that later. So, and looks at Piccolo and says, and you will not harm this world anymore, Piccolo. And he basically blasts both. Does what he did to Krillin, takes out all of his lenses. The winner is Goku. And then give me a Sensibine. Here you go. It's like, why? Because I want to fight you again. I believe, unlike your father, I believe there is some good in you. And I want to see that potential good unlocked. Also, you have so much room to grow as a fighter. I want to see what you can become, Piccolo. We don't have to be enemies. We can be friends, rivals even. We can help each other grow and increase each other beyond our limits. What do you say? And holds on his head. Piccolo's looking at it, like, gets up. You fool! I'll never join you. But I acknowledge your superiority right now. I can't hope to beat you as I am now. Take this victory. You better enjoy this victory, Goku. It'll be the last one. Next time we meet, I will end you. And, he gets out, flies out of there. And Kami, because Kami could probably hear it in there. So Kai told you our relationship. That's why you couldn't kill him. Of course not. If you go, the Dragon Ball's gone, right? And maybe one day a day will come when we don't need the Dragon Balls. But that day isn't here yet, Kami. You need to stay around for a while. Very well. It seems you've done a lot of growing with King Kai, Goku. You could make a very fine guardian yourself someday. Yeah, but that's not really my thing. and Kami does go like, no, I suppose it wouldn't be. Take care, Goku. Congratulations on your victory. Yeah, and he gets the prize money. And that's kind of where Dragon Ball ends. Now, we're only at the 20-minute mark, so I will at least go with what goes on in the time gap between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I believe it was a 5-year time skip. So, hey, let's get the obvious out of the way. Goku and Chi-Chi get married and have Gohan. Now, someone asked me if Gohan's going to be a lot more jacked or anything like that. I will say this. Gohan's probably not as cowardly as he was. I mean, he's only a kid. He's only like 4 years old. Let's be clear. So the fact that he's a scared kid, he's also a sheltered kid. That's the problem. And I've gone on rants about why I don't like Chi-Chi. I'm not going to go on it again. All I'm going to say is Chi-Chi, she means well. I can't fault her for what she means to do for her son. She doesn't want her son to be a fighter, and she wants him to make a living and be a peaceful kid and be smart. But he's half Saiyan. His father is a martial arts champion. The fact that she tries to, I'm going on a rant that I didn't mean to. Point being is like she didn't understand the family she married into. She didn't understand what she was getting with Goku. God, I just don't like Chi-Chi. There are plenty of other characters that Goku probably could have married that would have been a lot better. Anywho, because Goku has the instant transmission, he does visit not just King Kai, but Kami a good often amount of time. And he can do that instantaneously and still, be able to work, till the fields for the because he's a radish farmer is what he does for a living. Still able to do his work. He even brings Chi-Chi and Gohan there to meet Kami at some point. I think that would actually be a really fun thing to do. Also, someone brought it up, and it's a good point. He mentions the Bulma, the gravity training he did on King Kai's planet. And because of this, because they're able to, he finds his old Saiyan pod, eventually near where he was living, because it was basically kind of near where Grandpa Gohan lived. They are able to retrofit and make the gravity chamber. Now, I'd say that happens probably halfway through the 5-year time skip. So you're not going to get any real gravity training until halfway through. There is also the Room of Spirit and Time. Now, the Room of Spirit and Time is used once by Goku during this time. And I'll get to that in just a second why he uses it. But he does use it once. But, he visits King Kai now and then to do some extra training. He even said, would you like to meet my family? I was like, Goku, that's probably not the best idea. Why? What's wrong? Not that your family probably isn't lovely, and I even tune in and see your escapades. You just have quite a beautiful family. But unlike you, they're not quite equipped to handle the gravity of my planet. So then Goku even realizes, oh yeah, that's a good point. No, that would actually be fun to see. That would be a fun little spoof episode that he brings Chi-Chi and Gohan along for a trip to King Kai's to visit, and they're just crushed. That would be hilarious. But no, he doesn't do that. Chi-Chi, I think, is a bit more lenient on Goku going out because he does show he can literally stop. He probably does it too. He literally goes to the supermarket and back within like 20-30 minutes, as opposed to God knows the ride it takes Chi-Chi to do it. As we see in one of the episode where she has him get his license. The fact that he can do that is like, it's a godsend for her. So she's a lot more lenient, I think, with him training. So we get to the whole hyperbolic time chamber and gravity training scenarios. And because of the gravity chamber, I do believe Tien, Chaozu, Yamcha, and Krillin also participate with the gravity training. The hyperbolic time room training, that's Goku's own thing. I'll explain that in a minute. But with the gravity training, they're all getting in there. He explains it was 10 times that. They do probably crank it up a little bit over the years. Goku cranked it all the way to 100 times gravity within a couple of days. But because they're trained together, I think he does wait on that a little bit. But he does eventually do it. He does, especially when he's doing it on his own, training on his own, he does crank it up to 100, I think, eventually. So that then asks the question, where the hell are their power levels at this point? Well, first off, Goku's power was over 8,000. but he somehow went from 8 to 90. That's why I actually like the 9,000 better, because that means he got a 10 times boost from the hyperbolic time chamber, the gravity training. But he also got a Zenkai, remember, from the whole Piccolo, Vegeta Nappa fight, and some of the power, some of the official books. See, his power level was around 10,000. That would actually make sense. Getting about a 25% increase from that beating would make a lot of sense, which means he got a 9 times 9 increase from that. However, Goku's already at 12,000, has been able to train under 10 times gravity before, and knows the Kaioken, and his body's pretty tough. 2.5 years between training with his comrades, his friends, and on his own, cranking up to 100 times gravity, plus a little bit of training you'll do in the hyperbolic time chamber. If I were to get there, and again, it's only him doing the hyperbolic time chamber the one time. If I were to be conservative with the number I'd put him at, I would go at, honestly, I'd actually go 500,000. I wouldn't go the full million. I really would, because remember, the stronger you get, the harder it is for you to actually grow stronger in drastic increments. Because he has to train with his friends to get them acclimated to 10 times gravity, it would take longer for them to reach those higher echelons of gravity training. At the same time, though, them getting stronger gets some actual good training partners to go against. So it's all exponential in some ways. Let's also be clear, he's not training every single day. It just, because of his relationship with Chi-Chi, that doesn't happen. She lets him train a lot more often, but he's not training every single day. So that plays a factor in it too. But the fact that he gets to train on his own a few times once in the hyperbolic time chamber and probably multiple times in the gravity chamber, the fact that he will crank it to 100 times, I'm sure. The fact that he's training with much stronger friends at this point, and the fact that he hit 1,000 from 10 in only several days. Yeah, or close to a week, I think it was. No, I think it was like 8 days, wasn't it? Yeah, I think over 3 years, 2.5 years time after that, yeah, I think 500,000 with his Saiyan biology and Zenkai's, very reasonable. Add that on to the fact that at that point, you can probably do a times 10 with no problem. And do the, maybe even crack out a 20, but at that point, he'd still be as wrecked as he was against Frieza. Then getting quickly to Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin. As I said, Yamcha was 300. He's the weakest one, so he actually has the greatest room to grow. I would put him conservatively, because these guys aren't doing 100 times. These guys aren't. They're more. They're probably doing more like 50. Or probably doing half as much as Goku, just because they had such a longer way to go. And they're also probably not using the gravity chamber all the time either. So you have to take that into consideration. I'll put Yamcha at 30,000. I'll put Krillin at 50, and I'll put Yamcha at 75,000, respectively. I think those are all really good numbers for them. And remember, and I hate this, and some people get on my case for this, like, humans are just as strong. The Saiyans aren't naturally stronger than humans. Like, yeah, they kind of are. Their biology means they can transform with a 10 times multiplier. They're a natural warrior race, while humans are naturally not. There are human martial artists and fighters, but they're not. And it's clear that when you saw the elites of Saiyans in the past versus elites of humans, there's no real Saiyans are naturally stronger. I'm sorry if you disagree with that, but if you really just look at the numbers, it kind of just goes to show, and their biology and all that, it kind of just goes to show that the Saiyans are naturally stronger. And that damn Zenkai seriously helps out. But no, I think that's a reasonable number for him. Now, we're almost at the 30-minute mark. I want to touch upon the hyperbolic time chamber for the training he's trying to do with that. When King Kai mentioned about the Ozaru, Goku wanted to try to control that. But he quickly realized with Kami, like he tried to do it on the lookout one time, and he nearly destroyed the lookout. And Kami was able to bring him back without, cutting off his tail, fortunately. But he said, if that happens again, I'll have to remove your tail, Goku. It's like, no, I understand. Damn, there's got to be some way for me to control this. There might be a way, Goku. And this probably happened near the, pun intended, tail end of the time skip. Because, you get a full year's training in one day. He goes to the hyperbolic time chamber. Instead of trying to turn to an Ozaru per se. He tries to tap into that power on its own. And you can kind of see where I'm going with this. He tries to train and tap into that power on its own. And he struggles for a good while. After he's trying to remember what it felt, with a little bit of what he remembered, what it felt like to turn into the Ozaru, the great ape. He kind of feels the primal energy in it. He just doesn't know how to tap it. So he thinks about the moon and the orb and the feeling the moon was giving him. And as he's doing it, he does feel himself start to change. And he thinks he's changing into the ape. But he doesn't. His muscles become more pronounced. They grow a little bit. He feels a bit more aggressive. He can even feel his hair kind of get a bit more wild. He goes to look at a mirror that's in the room in the time chamber, and he sees himself there, but it's more wild. His eyes are yellow with the black pupil. Through training, and I think this would be a legitimate form any Saiyan could actually take with the training. Broly was just kind of the outlier because he was a mutation. He unlocks the Ikari form. He unlocks basically the power to go into the Ozaru power up without the transformation. And, he was like, whoa, it's like, this is as strong as my Kaioken, because he knows how strong it is. It's like Kaioken times 10. So he spends the remaining time, because I'd say it takes maybe about 3 months to half a year in the time chamber. He spends the rest of the time in the chamber doing that, training to master that, and seeing if he can use a Kaioken on top of that. Unfortunately, I think that is pretty hard on him. He might be able to use like a times 2 at best, because it's kind of the equivalent, though more natural than Super Saiyan, less aggressive on his body, of using Kaioken with Super Saiyan. You're asking for trouble with that. It's just there's too much flux and damage. But he finds he can at least pull off a standard Kaioken and a double Kaioken. Anything else is too much strain on the body because he's already going through a transformation as it is. But essentially that means he can pull off a Kaioken times 20 in the Ozaru form if he needs to. In essence, with enough training, he might be able to get it down to further grades of Kaioken in the Ikari form, but he's just not going to be able to handle that. Does he get a power level increase from that? No, because I'm including that with his overall training. So that's where he stands at the end of the 5-year time skip. He's got a power level of 500,000. And basically his Ikari form gives him a times 10 boost. He could add a Kaioken. Honestly, I feel like Kaioken times 2 is kind of like the equivalent of doing the times 20. It's still not it's still pretty ill-advised, but he could do it. So that's kind of where we leave off. Piccolo's power is stronger in this version because he had to face against Goku, but he's still nowhere near, say, Goku or even any of their other power levels. I liken it, actually, believe it or not, I liken it to when he had to train for the Saiyans. Because we know Piccolo can get a times 10 multiplier on his own if he didn't have to train Gohan, quite frankly. He probably could have gotten times 10 on his own with his training, when seriously putting training in. And I think that's what you would actually see here. He'd probably be something equivalent to 10 to maybe even 15 times what he was, because he has much longer to train than he did here against the Saiyans. So why don't I'll actually even go so far as say a 20 times multiplier. I actually think that's pretty reasonable. So he's actually about 8,000 in terms of his power level. I'm going to even that out right there, 8,000. With his weights on, he's probably more like a 6, because his weights is like, for some reason, they hold off about a quarter of his power. So about a 6, I think, is reasonable. And he probably keeps his power suppressed though as well, just so he can't be found. So anyway, that's where we're setting things up for this actual DBZ saga. Goku is already pretty haxed. And yeah, honestly, I was debating whether or not I wanted to go the Ikari route. I felt, part of me is like, probably not. I shouldn't, because I don't want to make him too overpowered. And by early Dragon Ball Z saga, he's still way overpowered. It will even out though for once we get to the later parts of the series, because he's so powerful as it is right now. Even if he keeps training, he's not going to get that many boosts. But I thought about it, and I'm like, King Kai would have told him about the Ozaru form, about the increase, but about the dangers. Goku, always wanting to improve himself, probably would want to try to master/access that form in some way. So through that, the Ikari form probably would have made sense to me. I know I'm going to get some people who probably get on my case for that. That's fine. I know at the moment Goku seems vastly overpowered. In fact, honestly, everyone seems a little vastly overpowered for the Dragon Ball Z saga right now. But again, once we get into like once we get into like the Namek saga, once we get into Frieza and stuff like that, that power gap is going to drastically be decreased because we're going to get into foes that are just more powerful than what he's dealing with right now. But it's not necessarily about having a supreme challenge for Goku. It's about how does Goku interact with the world being this powerful. So we'll address that on Wednesday. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know the review of it at some point. The ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, What If. Anything new on the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get that at some point. Hit that bell if you want notifications. I got the Captain Class Shinigami video. And either today or tomorrow, I think I'll have more time tomorrow to do this. Because I'm going out later to hang out with Mark and stuff. I will have a review for a movie that just came out on Netflix called Over the Moon. Because that didn't look bad. I want to check that out. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks next time.